Greetings. This is an introduction to communication. So we are going to look at the definition of what communication is, and then after that we'll look at the elements of communication, where there are six, and then the last thing is the importance of communication. So we will begin with what is communication. So it is part of our daily lives, just as breathing. We use it to express ourselves and interact with others in our lives. So you find out that for us to live, for us to communicate and interact, we have to communicate with each other so that we can build that relationship with others. For businesses to keep going, we need communication. So it is something that we do on our daily basis, just as breathing. So it is the key to all human activities. So without the ability to communicate, man will not have the ability to interact with others in order to share feelings, thought, ideas, and suggestions. That is what you just said. So it is something that we need regularly for us to share feelings, for us to share ideas that we have, for us to suggest. We have to communicate. So it performs diverse kinds of function in our lives, such as enhancing social interactions, that is just interacting with others, exchange of ideas. For us to spreading knowledge, we have to communicate. Okay, so and many others. So the elements of communication, the first element we have is the sender receiver. So the sender is just basically the person who wants to convey something to someone else, and the receiver is the person who is receiving the message being communicated. So the sender is the person who has something to convey and wants someone else to understand his message. The receiver gets the message and interprets what it means. So the receiver is the person who interprets what a message is. Okay, so the second element of communication we have is the message. So the message is the idea. Okay, so it is the actual idea or feeling that the sender wants to share. So for example, if I call someone and then I tell that person that we are having a birthday party, so the message in that communication will be the birthday party. So the idea of having the birthday party is the message itself. Then the channel is the part that is used by the message when communicating. So it can either be a newspaper, it can either be a television, it can either be a phone, okay, anything, a journal, the poster. So whatever is being used to transfer or to share the message from one person to another, that is what we called the channel. So the other element is the noise. So noise is anything or any interference that keeps the message from being interpreted well. So for example, if you're having a lot of noise where you are seated, and so you can't hear the message being given to you or being delivered to you. So whatever interference, whether it is the commercial where the people rioting, whether the children crying, so that is what we call noise. So they can either be external or semantic. So external is the noise that we hear, and then the semantic is now our emotions. If you are too happy, okay, you are if you are too happy, you can't interpret a message well. If you are too happy, you can't deliver a message well. If you are too sad, or if you are crying, the emotions, the how you feel is what makes the message not be interpreted correctly. So the other element is the feedback. So the feedback is the response given by the receiver. So if the receiver has something to say, maybe yes or no, or I'll be there, so that is what we call the feedback. Okay, so the last element is the setting, where the communication occurs. So it significantly influences communication. So there is a formal setting like an auditorium. Okay, so it lends itself to formal presentation and may not very good for small intimate conversation. So we have the formal setting or the informal setting. So those are the elements of communication. And then lastly, we have the importance of communication. So importance of communication. So studying communication helps you in the following ways. The first one is to understand how communication takes place as you communicate with others. So if you have the great communication skill, if you have learned how to communicate with others, you now understand how communication takes place. Okay, for you to know that if a person is talking, I have to be silent and hear and listen. So you know how communication takes place, and you can communicate with each other easily. The second one is you feel comfortable in social situations. Yeah, so for example, if you are having the great skills of communication, you can feel comfortable around people who are having a meeting, or around people you know, or even the people you don't know. If you know something, you have the confidence to stand in front of people and communicate something. Okay, so the last thing is to gain speaking and listening experiences that will be useful now and in the future. So if you communicate with others, someone can communicate to you something that you didn't know, or something that you've known, but he wanted more explanation about it. So if you communicate, yeah, fluently, or uh, continuously, you'll gain speaking and listening experiences that will be useful now and in the future. So that will be the end of the presentation.